Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. And in this video, in this stream today, we are going to be discussing a lot. Not as much as we wanted to have spoken today because we expected more signings. So we are going to be talking about our new signing. Man, his name is so hard. Takehiro. Yeah, I won't bother the second name. I'm just going to say Takehiro. We're also going to be discussing the likes of Niles, what my guest thinks about Niles' situation. Lacazette will be staying with Arsenal, but he will be leaving on a free transfer next summer. We'll be getting your thoughts on that. And as well, we'll be discussing Nketiah staying at Arsenal. My guess is not a big fan of Nketiah, by the way. So let's get straight into it. Zohom, how have you been, by the way? And how's the summer transfer window been for you?
I'm good. I'm all right, but it's been a really bad start to the season. Obviously,
Yeah.
It's just been so hard, man. Every Arsenal fan I know, every Arsenal rival fan that I know has reached out in some way to ask me if I still trust the process, if I still rate Arteta as a manager, and it's just been difficult to try and answer all those questions. And the transfer business doesn't help make a good case for him either. I mean, it's it hasn't been a good transfer window, to be honest.
Yep, very, very true. Not what we expected. And the worst thing is that they've had, people say 3 months. I'm actually going to say 4 months because our season is basically over a long time ago. So they had time to start thinking like, wow, Villarreal knocked us out. This is why we need a player. This is why we need a player. But they didn't get it done. But today's news is that we got one of them done, and that is a right back and stroke centre back. So we are about to announce the signing of this guy from Bologna. His name is Takehiro Tomiyasu. Obviously, I expect not many people to know much about him, but what do you make of this signing? So, is it did we really need a right back that much? And is he the answer?
Yes. We really did, because Hector Bellerin was finished. Ainsley Maitland-Niles doesn't show enough concentration levels to consistently play week in, week out. And Chambers and Cedric, you've seen them play in recent times, and for their own reasons, for their own separate reasons, they're both failures at the club, in my opinion. So we badly needed a right back, and hopefully this guy adds something to us. Look, I don't know much about him. Nobody knew much about him. I think the first time I'd heard of him was when Tottenham were linked with him in the beginning of the transfer window, right? I think that was around the end of the Euros, or maybe just around the time of the Euros. But just reading some stats, he already looks a much better player than, for example, even the player that Tottenham went for instead, which is Emerson Royal, the Barcelona player. And he's massive, man. The guy is 6'2". He can play with both feet. He can play at right back, center back. I've seen him in his YouTube clips play at left back, play at left center half as well. And he's only 22. He's turning 23 later this year. So he fits the age profile that these guys claim they're looking for. But for me, as long as it's someone who can just do the basics in football, which is like control the ball, dribble past a player or two, use his left foot to make a pass, or do a number of things. But I mean, he also scored some interesting goals, like some technically gifted goals. One with his left from outside the box against AC Milan. That was quite impressive. With his weaker foot, and that's Donnarumma,
Yeah.
And then there's another one I saw that he scored that was very, very interesting, because he essentially passed it to the right winger, and then he made a very, very late run from deep and out-sprinted two defenders, and then he was put through on goal. First time finish, he dinked it over the keeper like he's a prime Aubameyang. So that was also interesting, because I know none of our right backs could ever do any of those two things. But I just think he massively improves us. But at the same time, like we haven't done enough to bridge the gap between the quality in the first team and the second team, because should he get injured, then it's back to Maitland-Niles or Cedric, or Chambers. If if Gabriel and or Ben White aren't available, then it's back to Rob Holding and Pablo Mari. If
Yeah.
Thomas Partey is unavailable, which you can't necessarily rule out anymore, it's back to Xhaka. So I'm not happy, man. It's a very dull transfer window. I
Yeah, I
saw I
can.
saw someone I saw someone ask, if I told you right now, right before the transfer window, if I told you we'd sign Nuno Tavares, um, Martin Odegaard, Tomiyasu, Ben White, Ramsdale, uh, and Lokonga, right? How much
Mhm.
would you guess that we would have spent?
For that, definitely
Yeah,
less than 100 million. For the goalkeeper,
definitely less
around,
than.
yeah, definitely 100
Nah,
million. Then
definitely
that's,
less than 150 million.
yeah, yeah. Oh wow, it's actually 150. It's not even 100
It's
million.
actually
So
150.
60
Yeah,
million
because
less.
we'd spent 129,
Yeah.
and this kid is about to be bought for, I think, about 16 million euros, but it could go up to like around maybe 21 million pounds. That's close to
Mhm.
150 million.
Yeah. So you think we've
And
overpaid for most of the players?
no, I don't think we've overpaid. I just think we haven't spent money in the most efficient way.
Hmm.
I mean,
Okay. So.
some of the players we have overpaid for, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we won't realize the value of those players until they come good maybe in a few years. But for example, like John Stones, right? Man
Hmm.
City bought John Stones for
50
50
million.
million pounds at the time, right?
Hmm.
But that was maybe 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Around four.
now, around 4, actually, yeah. And now is when Man City are realizing or actualizing that potential, right? Exactly. And I think maybe the same could happen with Ben White, but
Sorry,
50
sorry,
million
sorry,
for
sorry. You can
Ben
hear
White.
an echo. You guys can hear an echo. Sorry, sorry. You can hear an echo. I hope it's gone now. Yeah, it should be good. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's gone. All right. So the point I'm making is some of the players, the reason why they've been overpriced, obviously because of the English tax and the fact that they're young, right? So we're buying into
Mhm.
the potential. Um, but did we really need to pay 50 odd million for Ben White when midfield was something that we should have fixed or needed fixing more often? I mean, think about the creative struggles that we had last season compared to the defensive strengths that we had.
Mhm.
Why would you then go spend more money in defense than you do in central midfield? Because essentially in central midfield, what did we spend? We spent 30 million pounds plus another 20, so 50 million, right? On
Mhm.
two players, Lokonga and Martin Odegaard. And in defense, we spent 50 million on Ben White, about 20 million on our right back, and another 7 million on our left back, and an extra 24 million on our keeper.
Yeah, it's crazy. And add-ons plus add-ons, rising to 30
Plus
million as well.
add-ons. Yeah, I mean, it could
Yeah,
it
around
could
there.
it could go all the way up to 30. So is that really how you balance your team out, or how you strengthen your team? You focus on all your strengths, and then does that signify that that we might be a defensive team if we keep reinforcing the defensive side of the team? It's a
It
bit of a
could
red
be.
flag. The thing is, you know how much I don't rate Granit Xhaka as a midfielder, right?
Mhm.
It's a big red flag for me that we extended his contract
Yeah.
against Arteta and Edu. It's a red flag against them. It's a red flag that you know he continued to pick Kolasinac, for example, someone who he sent out on loan, and him and Shkodran Mustafi were being chased around the Schalke stadium by angry fans, right?
Yeah.
But he's starting against. But someone we sent him there. We sent him to be chased down by angry Schalke fans,
Yeah.
and now he comes back and he starts in a Premier League game against Man City. You know, Another massive red flag. And Callum Chambers, Rob Holding. When is the last time you got onto the stream with Mr. Positive?
A couple of
Callum.
months ago, thankfully. I think wherever he is right now, he's not in a good place. I think he's not in a good place because he doesn't like the likes of Holding at all.
Exactly. So I always thought Rob Holding would be at best a backup center back at best, right? But now, obviously, with the way our season started, he's featured in more games than anticipated. But it shows clearly the gulf in class between first team and second team is too big, whereas in other clubs it's not that big. Like Lindelof isn't that much worse than Maguire, for example, compared to Rob Holding versus Gabriel, right? I don't know. Paul Pogba is okay. Paul Pogba is much better than Scott McTominay or. But let's say in terms of Laporte and Stones or Ruben Diaz, right? The gulf in quality isn't too far. Just go to Chelsea. I mean, from right backs to left backs, they're well covered, and you know who's the first choice player. But there is an element of competition that we certainly don't have. Like if I was Gabriel, I wouldn't be worried about Rob Holding and Callum Chambers trying to take my space or Pablo Mari.
Yeah, very true. So that's the point he was making about the gulf in class. If Takehiro gets injured, I literally have to look at the name. I can't say it. I can't remember it after 5 minutes. If Takehiro gets injured, we are still back to the Cedrics of this world. So my next question on Takehiro is going to be, yes, he's 22. You've mentioned that. And every other player we've signed is 21, 22. We have 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. Do you think we have to get a balance and we're signing way too many young players? Do you have preferred like a Kieran Trippier, for example, at right back?
I think I would have, yeah. But what it does, I mean, there's a benefit in that should Arteta not survive this season, which you can't rule out at this point, but should he not survive, then there's a good chance that whoever the succeeding manager is will look at this crop of players and think, okay, I can work with these players because they're young, and I can build them, or maybe in a year or two they'll be at a much better stage in their development than they are now. So at the very least, it's not those stopgap solutions that we saw in Arteta signing someone like Willian or Pablo Mari or Cedric. Like the Cedric deal really pisses me off because the guy, we signed him with a loan fee. He had less than 6 months left on his contract, and he was injured until March, end of March, early April, and then we signed him and gave him a 4-year contract in the summer. So so there's some really, really bad deals from Arsenal's point of view, and they're all linked to Edu because Cedric is Arturo Canales' client. Kia Joorabchian, he's Kia Joorabchian's client, who is a very close friend with your boy Edu, and Arturo Canales, for example, for Pablo Mari, and he's also a very close friend with Edu. So it's just been very, very bad, really.
Before people think I'm friends with Edu, he didn't mean your boy Edu like me. Nah, he's not my boy. And also just to stand up, not stand up. I'm not protecting Edu. I'm just saying those bad deals for Arsenal have not been in the last 2 years alone. You see us signing Jacques instead of Mane, and you see us signing Sharmak, people like that. We've been making bad deals in the transfer market for 10 years straight. So who is to blame? Like, is it Crank? Is it the scouts that are very bad? Because we've changed managers, we've changed players. But the deals we keep on making every single time are very, very bad. So my next question on him was going to be 19.5 million pounds. I think that's what I've seen. Do you think that's good enough, or are you not keen on that, or do you need to see him faster?
No, I think we would have had to have paid maybe closer to 35 million for Trippier. Maybe closer to 30 million for someone like Max Aarons, for example, who a lot of Arsenal fans wanted. But I think that's a fair amount, and considering it's deadline day, there's going to be a slight upturn in price, which is fair. But he looks really good, and he's highly rated in Italy. I read this article by a Sky Italia journalist, and he says he was one of the best fullbacks in the league. And even a friend of mine called Saddam, who watches the Serie A quite a bit, he was like, I'm not even who he just loves bantering Arsenal, but he was like, I'm not even bantering you guys right now. That's a good signing. You guys have signed a very good player. And just by seeing his YouTube clips, there's just a few things that you can pick out that were really interesting. The fact that he can dribble, he's very fast for someone his size. He doesn't look like he dives into too many tackles. If you look at the stats, for example, he rarely gets dribbled past by Serie A defenders. If you compare his stats to Callum Chambers, Bellerin, and Cedric I think Cedric. He
There's so
trumps
many,
them in
right? It's
every
even confusing.
yeah. He trumps them in every department, defensive and offensive. And the thing is, the only reason I think from the article that I read about Sky Italia about him, uh, the only reason his attacking stats aren't much better than the Arsenal fullbacks is because of instruction rather than ability. Maybe the coach's tactics are what hamper him in some way. But I think it's going to be an interesting signing, man. And I just I like his name. His name is really cool, Takehiro Tomiyasu. I'm gonna be.
But you,
He's probably gonna be saying things like "kasu" in
we are going to take a
after he
long
misses
time
a
to.
chance.
We are
Yeah,
going to we are going to take a long time to learn that name. Last time I took a whole 2 months to learn how Awar, and he still haven't gotten him 2 years later. So let's take a
he's
look
not our
at
player. Don't waste your time.
his let's take a look at his strengths and weaknesses and get your opinion on them. So first up, one of the strengths in terms of being rated as very strong is aerial duels. Do you think that is very important for fullback?
It is, man. You know how many times people target
The
Kina
far post.
Cedric and
Yeah.
Maitland-Niles? Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just about being targeted, but like think about how Callum Chambers was beaten to the ball by Gundogan, and last season
Yeah.
Rob Holding was beaten was beaten to the ball by Raheem Sterling. Like,
Yeah.
that's not acceptable, man. At least now we have someone who's tall and also aerially dominant. So he's going to help Ben White as well, because Ben White is someone who struggles defensively in the air. So if we have Gabriel and Takehiro being defensively strong in the air, then they can make up they can pick up the slack for someone like Ben White, who the primary reason we signed was for his on the ball skills. But yeah, I think it's really important considering who's next to him. If Gabriel was playing next to if Ben White was playing closer to Kieran Tierney, right? You kind of have
Yeah.
a feeling that Tierney would do much better in the air. Does or rather he does do much better in the air than Cedric, Bellerin, and Callum Chambers. And he's shorter than Callum Chambers, but still.
Yeah.
So I think
Uh,
it's a massive positive.
yeah, that is a very important one in terms of like complementing each other with Ben
Ben
White.
White.
The second one is
Yeah.
dribbling. Now, CN is quite okay in dribbling the other side in terms of getting past players and actually dribbling past players and putting in a cross. On the right side, though, every time Bellerin tries to pass someone, he looks so confused. Like his legs just confuse each other and
Yeah.
we end up throwing or something. Also, Cedric is supposed to be technically gifted because Cedric is quite good at free kicks, corners, and penalties. But when it comes to the actual pitch, he looks confused. Chambers, sometimes he puts in a good cross. Sometimes it looks forced, though. It's like just hit, cross. But
I think what he does is he doesn't necessarily have a good cross, right? He knows
mm,
how to give it the right shape and
mm,
it enters the box in the right way that a striker should be there and hit it. But then how many times has he really found our strikers?
yeah, it's not consistent enough. It's not like a trend who, if he
Exactly.
hits a cross, it's going to get there. So,
Exactly, yeah.
so Takehiro is gifted in terms of dribbling. Do you think that's important on that side?
Super important, man, because you know, I feel like Pepe is left alone, to be honest, on that right hand side. I feel like a
Mm,
lot of fans get on his back for not being able to beat defenders and whatnot. But
Yeah.
having another gifted footballer to link up with and to drag defenders out of the way, I think it's going to unlock Pepe's potential on that right hand side. And when you consider, you add the element of Martin Odegaard and his reverse pass, where he looks like he's about to give it all the way to spread it all the way to Tierney's side, but then he gives a cheeky reverse pass to the right back or the right wing. Those two elements, Takehiro and Odegaard, are really going to help improve our right hand side, because it's too lopsided, our attack. We always attack for a long time. We've
On the
been
left.
attacking from the left wing,
Yeah.
from Gal Clichy to Kieran Gibbs
Gibbs. Yeah.
to Kolasinac. You know what I mean?
And Santos.
Uh, Santos, yeah, like Bakary Sanya was more the solid defender, but I
Mhm.
think I think now there's going to be a better balance to our team, much better balance to our team.
Okay, the third one is concentration. I can't explain to you how important this is. I always say, even if Arsenal is 3-0 ahead with 10 minutes remaining, I do know someone will make a mistake somewhere and puts us under pressure.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
concentration,
I can give you an example, Glenn. There was a game versus Liverpool at Anfield maybe 2 years ago.
yeah.
No, last season when I think we lost 3-1 or
Yeah,
3-0.
that has happened a lot of times. Losing to
Yeah,
Liverpool at
okay,
Anfield 3 has happened a lot. But yeah, last season we
yeah.
took the
There was
lead
a
with
game we
Lacazette
lost.
scoring.
We took the lead exactly, but then Bellerin lost concentration in one of the crosses, and Andrew Robertson chipped our keeper.
Yeah, within like 5 minutes of taking the lead as well.
Exactly. So it's incredibly important that we have a player who can keep up their concentration levels, and it's even more reassuring that it's a player who can do this at the mere age of 22, 23. I was actually just watching the stream for Fabrizio Romano on his Twitch with his friend. I don't
Yeah,
know who his friend is, right? But they're
yeah.
obviously both Italian, and they were talking
Mhm.
about the deal. They were saying he is the ultimate professional. He is a top professional. Like, he's always switched on. He's always concentrated. And yeah, he doesn't lack concentrate. Like, he doesn't lose. Uh, he doesn't get angry or lose control of himself in bad or agitating situations. Apparently, he never tries to hurt anyone. He's always just an honest defender. He's not. He doesn't have any dirty tactics, um, the dark arts, so to speak,
Yeah.
that he likes to use. He has nothing, none of that. He just likes to play football, win the ball clean, and yeah, move it along. So I think I'm really happy with the fact that he's highly rated in terms of his concentration levels, because it for us, it's gone across the back four, hasn't it? With Bernd Leno, with Bellerin, Maitland-Niles, Callum Chambers, Cedric, Rob Holding. Like, that's too many members. Kolasinac, too many players
Too many
that lack
players. Yeah.
proper concentration. And you're at the highest level. You're playing for Arsenal.
Another example
I
is
mean,
Pablo Mari last
yeah,
season
Pablo Mari,
against
exactly.
Chelsea. We were 3-0 ahead against Chelsea,
And
and
then
then
we
they
conceded
scored
this.
Abraham, and
Yeah,
then he considered a silly penalty. Like 5 minutes to go, don't consider a penalty, and then you just lose concentration. I don't know if like it's an Arsenal thing. Like throughout, if you join, you just become like everyone else. But I don't know. The fourth one is blocking the ball.
mm. So
Like, do we not have any defenders who can do that already?
no, we have Gabriel, and now we have Ben White who can block the ball. But I don't remember Bellerin being too good at blocking the ball. Callum Chambers, for example, against Canos in the Brentford game, the ball
Yeah,
went through his legs and beats Bernd Leno at the near post. And those kind of goals can make the keeper look bad. But if it goes through the legs of the defender and he's in the box, that's that's bad defending from the center back or the fullback, not
that's
from the
the one.
keeper's point of view. Yeah, that's the one exactly. That ball should have been blocked, and I hope he's a much better blocker than what do you call him, Callum Chambers. But the thing is, what I like about uh, non-English defenders, and whether they have good blocking stats, is that
Yeah.
they don't get sold, or they don't buy a fake shot very quickly and go to ground the way Shkodran Mustafi used to. Remember Shkodran Mustafi and how he used to go to ground no matter what?
Please don't remind me of Mustafi.
Yeah,
Mustafi had so
exactly,
many bad
exactly,
elements
exactly,
on him.
exactly,
Yes,
exactly. So
concentration wise, especially. Oh my goodness.
exactly. I saw some highlights of this guy literally today, and there were some skillful players that he went up against, and he just stayed up in front of him. The thing is, when someone's 6'2", it's much harder to beat them in the first 5 yards because of their longer reach with their long legs. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think he's a very very good signing, man. I'm quite excited because that right back position has been such a problem for us for such a long time.
Okay, and the fifth and last one is ball interception. Now, I always say
Mm.
ball interception could be the difference between you conceding a goal and scoring. Because we saw
Mm.
with Bissouma the other day against Watford, the way he
Yeah,
intercepted the ball and the ball landed on Mope and it got them a goal, like a
yeah.
very crucial first goal of the game. So,
They
do
won
you
two
think
one.
any of our right back can do that?
Yeah, and I think in terms of interceptions, maybe Maitland-Niles can be up there, and Bellerin's
Mhm.
pace makes him not necessarily require that much in terms of anticipation. Remember how Mertesacker used to completely rely on his interception and
Yeah,
reading of the game, right?
yeah, yeah,
But what I like about this guy is that he has the height of a center back and the pace of all our fullbacks. He is rapid. He is quick. He's a machine. And at the mere age of 22, 23, I mean, I think we have a very, very good right back, man.
Okay, obviously it cannot only be strengths. He also has a weakness, and the main weakness here is crossing. Now, who scored have rated the crossing as weak, but from what you have seen on YouTube, do you think it's weak in terms of crossing? Because that is something we need on the right, and otherwise you're going to still be attacking on the left side alone.
I'd rather, if I had to choose one weakness, it would be crossing here.
Mm.
Because right now we don't even have the kind of strikers that we should be crossing to in the first
Crossing the
place,
ball. Yeah, true, true.
right? Alaf,
Hmm.
another thing is that from the same article that I read, and maybe I can share it with you so that you can forward it as well, tweet it on the Everything Arsenal's page, right?
Yeah,
Um, Twitter page and on IG. From the article I read, the author said that his heat map isn't you can't compare it to Hector Bellerin's or Maitland Niles or Callum Chambers. They take up much more advanced positions than Tomiyasu, but the difference is in instructions. So I feel
yeah,
like that might change, but even then, even should it actually be a weakness, that's something that's doesn't necessarily need talent. It's something that you practice like a set piece by repetition.
yeah,
Um, Things that you can't necessarily teach or teach. It needs to be more a natural talent. Is the strengths that he has, the aerial duels, the interceptions, the reading of the game, the blocks. Knowing how to read someone's shot before you block it. If he's gonna
yeah,
curl it, if he's gonna do it with the inside lace, you can tell how which corner, which height someone's gonna shoot the ball at, just by the way they're taking shape to hit the ball themselves.
yeah,
And that in and of itself is a skill that isn't necessarily easily teachable compared to something like crossing. So I don't mind the crossing part as long as his link up play is good in terms of 1-2s. That's a positive, and that's actually the case because his progressive passes into the final third or into the opponent's half, he does one. He does on average close to 1.5 passes into the final third or into the opposition's half compared to Bellerin's and Callum Chambers and Cedric Suarez, who do make those kind of passes once every 2 games, once every 180 minutes.
and that one is also by fluke anyway. The one is also by fluke. So,
Yeah, maybe on a
um,
counter.
so if you're just joining us, make sure to smash the like button. And we are taking a look at his characteristics. So in terms of strengths, aerial duels is rated as a very strong. Dribbling, concentration, blocking the ball, and ball interception is rated as strong. And in terms of weakness, crossing. But Zuhuma said he'd rather have a defender who cannot cross because there's none really we are crossing to unless we are buying Peter
Mm.
Crouch. So that's the latest on Tomiyasu. Man, his name is so hard. It's going to. I
Tomiyasu.
just prefer to call him Titi. Titi, like
Okay,
cherry on
TT, fair
really.
enough. Yeah,
Titi.
yeah,
So
fair enough.
that's the latest on him.
And
But
guess what? Guess
yeah.
what? Before you go on, because you made that TT reference, his number at Bologna was number 14.
Oh wow. Can we give you number 14 at Arsenal? Sell Aubameyang? Sell Aubameyang and give this guy
I doubt
a
it.
massive number 14. So obviously
Yeah.
that's decent news. I'd say not the best news you could have. But the second piece of news is on this guy. I know you don't want to talk about him because he's not coming to Arsenal. But the question is, surely they knew we needed a central midfielder. What has happened?
I'm really disappointed by this because even Fabrizio, who told us today that, but by tweeting, he said like we're not Arsenal are no longer or aren't in talks with Lyon for Houssem Aouar. He's the one who would tell us by tweeting that Arteta loves this player. He loves this player so much. So it's really frustrating that it's also him who tells us that we're not going to sign him because what happened to that love? What happened to
Yeah.
that passion? But I mean, think about it. There's nobody else going for Houssem Aouar. Literally
Why?
nobody else. That's an interesting point. I can't answer that. I don't have the answer to that. But there's no interest in Aouar. Not from us,
That's
not from Tottenham, not from. And you've seen the reports, Glenn. You've seen those reports where people are saying that he's literally being offered on loan with an obligation to buy, as long as you just pay his full salaries, right?
yeah.
You can pay his full salaries now, and then you have an obligation to pay 25 to 35 million euros next season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's last season. Didn't we want him? No, not last season. The season before that, didn't we want him for about 50 million? And Arsenal fans would have been okay paying that amount.
Yeah, that was before we signed Partey. Yeah, and we
Yeah,
actually offered him close to that money. So I don't know why they're not offering this one.
yeah, they wanted 60, and it's mad. I really don't know what's going on with the Aouar deal, but apparently, yeah, there's. I remember seeing some stuff on the Athletic that Arsenal coaching staff had some doubts about him, in terms of his overall ability on the ball or maybe off the ball, but at the price of 60 million euros. But at 25 million euros, that would have been more worth the risk, considering some of the doubts that they had over a player. And like
Surely
many
it's
players,
better than what we have.
of course, he has to be. Many coaches can doubt players before they even really see them, um, like firsthand. Because I remember I read a story last week about how Louis van Gaal actually had doubts. Him and his coaching staff had doubts over Andres Iniesta.
Mm-hmm.
So it means nothing that your coaching staff or the reports suggest a certain deficiency somewhere. But there you go. I mean, I just think he's a much better option than. I think creatively he might even be better than Odegaard. I think I'd rather have him playing on the left wing than Emil Smith Rowe as a left-sided forward. Because Emil Smith Rowe still has some development to go through, and we're putting too much pressure on him. You can see that, literally. You can see that there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and it's not fair to him. So, yeah, plus we needed that depth, just in case Partey is injured,
Or
which
like
we
now,
expect he. Yeah, like now. Like, we needed
just
that
in case
depth.
Xhaka is suspended, like now.
Yeah, and just in case, like Martin Odegaard doesn't necessarily have a good game, or Bukayo Saka or Emil Smith Rowe, you have someone you can bring off the bench if
Yeah.
he's not starting, right? You have someone you can bring off the bench, and if he's not doing well, then you have Emil Smith Rowe. But now we have no depth. That's the problem. I get that we only have one competition, but the Premier League is the most intense league in the world, and because of that, you're likely to get these knocks, and especially during the Christmas period. So it's really annoying. It's really, really annoying.
And these players are going to leave for AFCON in January for the African Cup of Nations. So I really do not understand it at all. So it's looking like we're not going to sign Aouar. So just quickly through the other players. The first one you're going to talk about is Willian. Just keep it short on Willian. So he's gone. If you read his goodbye message yesterday, you'd feel like, you know what, let's bring him back. He literally felt like he was mistreated at Arsenal, but he left without asking for any money. What do you make of that?
I thought that was interesting, but I don't know that I believe that he wasn't paid any of his other dues. I think there must have been some termination fee, right? Um, where it would have protected the club from having to pay the rest of his salaries, 20 million just for him to leave. I'm sure that's too much. But I think he's done okay. I mean, he's done well to be honest, and you know, he's taken a massive pay cut to go to Corinthians. But I think the comments from his agents were very interesting.
Oh yeah,
Kiajurapchian.
I'm going to bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah. Go ahead.
whatever he said is going at Arsenal and basically our management and everything. So I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
What do you make of that before I bring it up?
I just thought it was like it sounded more like he's helping. You know, he's more Edu's friend than Arteta's friend. You know,
Yeah,
and if he was to say something, I'm pretty sure he would have said, you know, things that would protect his buddy Edu and uh, try and calm any rumors about, you know, how Edu only signs players from Kiachurapchian or any of the agent friends that he knows.
yeah.
So I wouldn't read into what agents say, really. Um, Agents say a lot of stuff. So
Especially Pogba's agent, Jesus Christ.
yeah. So now, like, I'm just happy that he's gone because he clears space and he wasn't really adding any value, even from a leadership point of view. I don't. I saw Reese Nelson had posted about it, about how he left, and he was saying thank you for everything. But I don't know that Reese Nelson has improved that much anyway. I feel like Reese Nelson has even stagnated or maybe even regressed in recent times.
Yeah,
So
it's become
I
worse. Yeah,
yeah, so I just think yeah, it's about time that we canceled that deal. But you see, that's the problem with someone like Arteta right now. It's like, okay, fine, you admit that you made a mistake with um with Willian, right? But then how are you making
yeah.
the same mistake by giving Xhaka an extra 3 years with an option for a fourth? What's what the hell? You know? What the actual hell?
To me, it's looking
And
like they know they're going to get sacked, and now they're not even bothered. Do you feel the same? To me, it feels like they are not even bothered to bring in a central midfielder because he knows he's not going to be here.
who? Arteta?
Yeah, and they do both of them
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, from everything that I
because
read online,
they can be sacked
it,
anytime.
no, from everything that I read online, from the credible sources, there's an understanding from the ownership that the circumstances that we played the first 3 games in were all quite unprecedented, from COVID to injuries to having to field guys like Kolasinac. So yeah, it's just I feel like he's gonna be given until Tottenham end of September to save his job, but he really needs to give us an identity, man. But anyway, we're here to talk about transfers, so let's carry on
So
with that.
this is what Willian's agent had to say. Which player has moved to Arsenal that has not been a disaster in the last couple of years? He also went on to say it was not Willian's problem, it was the team's problem. And then what was interesting to me is that he said him and Willian were promised a process and a project at Arsenal, but when Willian got to Arsenal, there was no project and process. So do you agree with the agent, or do you think it's really
I par-
Williams being bad?
no, I partially agree with the agent because I don't think it was Willian's fault that our team lacked creativity last season. I think it was
Mm,
a lot of it was the manager's fault, and also a lot of it was the way our squad was built. You know, we didn't have very good players in the attacking midfield position. So I don't blame Willian because he created what 6 assists. He had that one good game versus Leicester City
Fulham.
where he looked very
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Leicester City away from home. He
yeah, yeah.
looked very
The
good as well.
Pepe, he looked very good in that game.
Yeah, but then even then you can't just sit here and pretend like he's been the most Um, uh, he's been the utmost professional. You know,
Mhm.
he remember he went to that trip to Dubai for work reasons, and then he came back and he was started immediately, and then he got injured and he cost us a sub versus Leeds in a game that we drew
Yeah,
0-0.
yeah,
Um, and then more recently, he looks like he hasn't been keeping track of his weight. You know, he looks like he hasn't been keeping fit, and then he likes Chelsea's posts and whatnot. So it's just been a bad deal for all involved. And I don't know. I don't think he's had any malice towards us. I don't feel like he's trying to annoy Arsenal fans or the Arsenal hierarchy on purpose. But I just feel like you don't just stop following Chelsea because now you play for Arsenal. You know,
yeah.
especially after we spent that many years at Chelsea. So of course you're gonna
So,
like a post here or there, but yeah, yikes.
I'm interested to see whether Messi is going to be liking Barcelona's post since you say that. Willian, so Willian is gone. The next we're going to talk about is Bellerin and Nelson. So Nelson is moving to Feyenoord and Bellerin is moving to Betis. So what do you think of both transfers, whichever you want to start with?
So I can start with the Bellerin one because it's fairly easy to finish. The Bellerin
Mm-hmm.
one makes sense because he needed to restart his career. Really, like he he just looked like he was never going to be an Arsenal player ever again. And the only problem I have with the Bellerin deal is that Edu couldn't put in a clause for an option to buy. So we're literally just gonna ignore him for a year, and then we have to figure out a situation for him as well after that. Unless he impresses, and then Real Betis come back to us and say, okay, we actually do want to buy him. But the Reese Nelson one is interesting because they made him sign a contract extension before they confirmed his loan.
Yeah.
So he extended his contract until 2023. So by the time he comes back, we're going to be in 2022, and we're going to be able to sell him for something, you know, even if it's like 10 million or a maximum of 15 million, depending on how his loan goes. So I think the move on Reece Nelson's part is good. The Dutch league is another technical league that he needs to expose himself to because it just feels like there's a lot of the football syllabus that he still hasn't learned, and at least he gets to do that at Feyenoord. So yeah.
Okay, so just one more question on Bellerin. I know it's a hard question, but why did it all go wrong? Like 3 years ago, we were talking about selling him to Barcelona for £50 million, and then right
Mm.
now we can get any fee for him at all. No one wants to pay anything for him. Do you think it's the
Yeah, yeah.
injury until today, or do you think he has had no one to look up to in terms of the right back positions and the left back positions, or do you think it all went wrong?
I think first of all, there was a number of things. The first thing that you mentioned was the injury because it meant he lost his best asset,
Mm,
which was his pace. Like you
yeah.
mentioned it earlier in the show, you said these days Bellerin can't even dribble past a player. He never
Mm,
necessarily used to dribble past a player. He used to knock it in the Walcott kind of way
and
and then
run, yeah.
run after it, right? And that's what made him such a dangerous right back because it's not like he had the best crosses, but he would, because of his pace, he would get into positions that he can just square a pass across the 6 yard box and get an assist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of players don't come back the same after getting a knee injury, especially if they're players that rely on their pace. Look at Leroy Sané, for example. Yes,
Mm,
he's had some good moments for Bayern Munich, but you don't necessarily see those highlights where he goes past 3 or 4 players. There's something that's currently missing.
yeah.
And with Bellerin as well, I feel like he was first of all a victim of the lack of stability in the club, right? With the
Yeah.
different managers and whatnot, and also he was a victim of Arsene Wenger's demise. But at the same time, he was also a victim of not having enough competition around him.
Mm, very
There was
true,
just
very true.
simply no competition around him.
And
And
yes, we
when you
still
don't
have
have
four right
competition,
backs.
exactly, and that says everything you need to know about the way the squad has been built. So there
Mhm.
you go. I just feel
This
like
is good.
I feel bad for him, but I feel like the La Liga is the right league for him to go to. But at the same time, the concerns that I have for Bellerin is that he lacks in technical ability, and La
Mm,
Liga is the most technically challenging um,
league.
league in the world. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles that.
Okay, so those sons are pretty much gone. Runarsson is also moving out on loan, another transfer we never understood. But my question from that is, I'm noticing, as you can notice here, REISS Nelson on loan, Alex Runarsson on loan, Hector Bellerin on loan. Is it because we have that bad of players, or are they trying to do something? I don't know. What are they trying to do? Because I really literally do not understand why someone like Runarsson is going out on loan.
Yeah, we should just be canceling his contract or just getting a
He's
sale
turning
for him
26.
somewhere.
He's not going to improve.
Exactly. No, well, he is. Keepers improve.
No, he's
Keepers
been
have a
there for
different.
7 years.
Yeah, I know, but keepers have a different trajectory.
But
Bernd
not everyone
Leno.
is performed though.
No. Even like Manuel Neuer. Manuel Neuer was better at 32 than he was at 27 or 26.
But he wasn't as bad as Runarsson, surely.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of the trajectory of the keeper's development, it's different to footballers. So I don't think it's not like I think he is gonna get any better. I don't. Even if he does get any better, it's not gonna be good enough for this club. So I don't care how much better he gets because I just don't expect it to be any better than we need. And it means we make another decision that we write off another transfer that was a bad decision because Arteta relied or trusted his goalkeeping coach's judgment. Inaki, what's his name? Coach Inaki or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Goalkeeping coach actually recommended him, and we brought him for £1 million, and you get what you pay for. So again, 1 million, and that team is going to as well. Yeah. There's no team in England that wants him. There's no other team in France that wants him. So I'm really concerned about him. I do not understand why he's going out on loan. We already have Leno right now. Ramsdale has been bought. Okonkwo has been promoted. KJ Hein is there. So why the hell is he going to come in place? So I literally do not understand. Another poor transfer on our side. So that's the latest on all the players we've heard about today. The last one is going to be Lacazette, but let's read the comments. We'll go for like another 5 minutes and then we end it. Cookie says, I think this is about Takehiro. I think he could play as a centre back in a back five with Ainsley on the right. That's the only reason we should be refusing Ainsley a move. Ainsley is going to stay, by the way. They've already confirmed it. Leno, Tierney, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, White, and Ainsley. So why do you think is his favorite position? I did a video talking about the 3 positions he can play, but personally, where do you think he can fit for us?
Who?
The new defender.
Oh, at right back. It has to be right back because we need to play a back 4 so that we have more attacking players up top. So I hope that's exactly how the team is going to look. And I think that's a very strong team, to be honest. I mean, you could switch out Pepe, Saka, and Emil Smith-Rowe, maybe even Martinelli, and even Tavares for Kieran Tierney. He looks like an exciting player. Ramsdale looks good with his distribution, so he can. We have a lot of interchangeable parts, right? But we don't have enough depth in attacking midfield, and that's the annoying part. Is that we only have Odegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe, so we'll see. I think Lokonga is going to be the central defensive midfielder, and Partey is going to be our maybe box to box, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that's as a right back. The one that he's talking about is the center back is this position. Because I've also heard that someone saying, one of the agents from Italy saying that no one knows what Takehiro is. No one really understands if he's a right back or a center back. Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing. It just highlights his utility. The fact that he's a utility player, but at the same time, I mean, he's even played holding midfield for Japan and for Bologna. He's just a very intelligent player who understands the different roles and the different positions and how they're played, even without playing them regularly. But I think even as you put that squad, you're most likely going to have Pablo Mari, Gabriel, and Ben White, right?
Yeah.
As the back 3, and then Tomiyasu as the right wing back. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Okay, so that's the latest on Tomiyasu. Let's read a few comments. I'll put a link talking about the 3 positions you can play. So let's see. AJ90, I don't know. It says, sorry to gas Zoom with the worry, knows what I mean. Do you know what he means?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
good.
you know that tic tac thing from El Chiringuito.
What the hell are you talking about? What is this? I like the way you asked that like I'm Spanish.
You
Like
don't
I
know
know
it?
what the hell you're talking
You know that
about.
show? Do you know that show? That Spanish show that talks about transfers,
Oh
especially
yeah,
Real
okay,
Madrid players.
Spanish show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's called
you
El.
should have
I
said
think
that.
it's called El Chiringuito or something like that. So the
Yeah,
guy, instead of saying tick tock, he says
yeah,
tic tac, tic tac.
yeah,
So
yeah. You definitely.
yeah, this guy,
That's
this AJ90 guy was
yeah,
like Hussein Awar, tic tac, and
yeah.
I thought he knew something. Oh man,
Definitely. As you can tell, that is something that Zuhom and AJ90 know what they're talking about clearly. Cookie says, unless we go late for Renato Sanchez or another midfielder, this is an awful window simply because we didn't sell the dead wood. And Renato Sanchez, a player you're interested in?
understandable. Yeah, I would have taken him because he's an upgrade still on. I would take anything that's an upgrade on these midfielders that we have right now. Right now,
Yeah,
our central midfield options are Mohamed El Neni, Thomas Partey, Lokonga,
Okong.
and
Yeah,
Granit Xhaka. Two
yeah,
of
not too
those
bad.
I like. Two of those we're done with. We should be done
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
but here we
Yeah.
are.
Okay, in case you want to watch the video talking about the three positions Tomiyasu can play for Arsenal, I've put the link in the chat on YouTube. Let me see. Cookie also says the signing we need to make, and it's a controversial one, but we need experience in our former areas of that sub. So why don't we ask Jackie Wilshere? We are so past that, Cookie.
Yes.
And if you want a hero, we already have Takehiro. He's our new hero. We don't need any
Nah.
heroes.
Bro, let me tell you, I agree with Crunchy
Wilshere,
there because I take him as
come on.
squad depth, man. Yeah, give him a
Squad depth
contract. Skiza,
for where? For
listen,
the hospital.
give give him a contract that's pay as you play. Okay?
Pay as you play.
Yeah, or pay every time you feature you're selected for the bench. Simple as. Then hopefully he's an upgrade. Even an injured Wilshere is an upgrade on Mohamed El Neni and he's only 29. Like he still has something to offer. You're telling me a 29-year-old talented Jack Wilshere is not a better option than Mohamed El Neni? Seriously.
I mean, both of them are nice people. I think
Oh,
they're both committed at Arsenal, but
no,
I
come on.
mean, okay, instead of answering that, let the chat answer. Would you take Jack Wilshere back? I mean,
Yes.
listen, I'm someone who really loves Jack Wilshere. Those kind of players, I really love them.
You don't
That
love him
time,
enough.
that's the time. Wilshere, Ramsey, we used to play some really good football. But let me leave the chat.
Exactly.
Would you take Jack Wilshere back for, as you said, pay as you play, not just 200,000 a week and you don't play? King says which player should do it for. I don't think we should have been signing any player, unfortunately. He also says too late. Too late. 9 points, 9 goals in 3 matches. It's not just a loss, it's a big job. That's what I always say. Why wait until you lose every single game and then you start chasing? Tottenham already 9 points behind us. That's already, we need to let them lose 3 games and for us to win 3 games to even get close to them, because the goal difference again matters as well. So it's already chasing from day one. Lamin says, Glenn, you're right. Our defenders and Leno put us in this situation. I mean, we need communication at the back. If the goalkeeper, I don't think Leno is talkative enough. If we can communicate with his defenders, it would be a good thing. Like say if a defender makes a mistake, talk to him. But I never thought like Leno is a talkative guy. Tottenham signed Emerson Royale. At least they signed someone. Let me see. We are doing good. Okay, thank you. Matita is not a. Henry says that Matita is not a coach before that. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, she says, great stream, Glenn and Zohom. Appreciate it very much. I think we could send this $5 to get a word through the door if money is the problem.
Yeah,
William says, what about Hasimar? But before that, Henry says that Matita is not a coach. Do you agree? Do you think? I think personally, in the next 2-3 years, you would be a good coach.
I think he's been one of the unluckiest coaches. But I think what he is not good at yet is being a manager and not necessarily a coach. I think he's a good coach, talented coach, but right now I feel like he's being overwhelmed by the managerial role that he's taking on, which is essentially the kind of role that Arsene Wenger used to have. You know, we don't have any managers anymore in world football. You don't have managers. You have head coaches. The best clubs in the world. Think about any club in the world right now. Tell me which has a first team manager. None. Arteta is literally the only one left. And I think those kind of duties, those extra duties, have maybe made it more difficult for him to manage this club well.
Yeah, William says, what about Hassim Awar? We already talked about him. He's not going to be
Why,
coming.
man?
Lone FC, yeah, I'd prefer the goalkeeping coach in goal. She says, will Asensio come to Arsenal? And listen, I wouldn't be surprised. We have a good relationship with Real Madrid, but we can't buy him.
Asensio.
We can't buy him. They said Ancelotti does not have him in the first team plan. So the only way we can get someone like Asensio is a loan deal, just like Ceballos and Odegaard, not on a permanent deal. Whether it's good enough for us, is it good enough for us? Of course, it's better than what we have by far. But
He's better than Odegaard.
I think it's better than Odegaard, yeah, but I don't think we can sign him right now. It would be a good deal. It would be a statement deal, at least more than what we've got. How are you, Bashir? Cookie says Wilshere 200k a week. You're joking, but he did mention that it's pay. You play, then you get the pay. So if you don't play a couple of games, you don't get the pay. If you play one game, we pay you a certain amount of money. But I mean, that will be like 2 games only for the season. That's the problem. Surely I will take Wilshere back. Okay, Benjamin says he will take Wilshere back. It's just because I really want us to move from that Wenger era, and that's why I don't like the likes of Chambers and Holding being here at the moment. I wanted all the players.
Wilshere is not in that class. Wilshere is not in that same category.
But he has that mentality of, Wenger used to be a father figure. I'll play even if you play badly, it's okay. I'll play you next time as well. I want someone who's ruthless, and that's someone who's used to being ruthless. At the time they do suck. Desmond says. Bright says, please, I want to know which players Arsenal are bringing today. I don't think you're going to bring anyone else, unfortunately. So that's the latest on the transfer news. So my last question is, rate this transfer out of 10 if we don't get anyone else.
4.5 out of 10.
4.5 out of 10. If we got Awar?
If we got Awar, maybe a 6.5.
A 6.5. So yeah, that's my next question for everyone in the chat. Make sure to smash the like button. Make sure to comment what your rating for this transfer window is. So Zoom's name is on screen, Zoom Omar. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and on Instagram as well for more Arsenal updates and everything. As of now, let's hope we can maneuver something in the next 5 hours. Hopefully, as of now, thank you for watching. Keep staying safe. I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.